I think it is an appropriate time to have a serious Mike Bobo conversation. Look, a lot of Georgia fans don't like Mike Bobo, at least the loud majority online are anti-Mike and we're not happy with the way things went down in 2024. We're not happy with the way that things ended in 2023. Obviously, he took over for Todd Monken, a very, very, very good OC for Georgia that they won national championships with, who went to the Ravens. Mike Bobo, a former OC, he comes back in as OC in 2023. And look, weeks ago, a couple months ago, when he was granted that, or when it was released that he was granted a contract extension through the 2026 season, people were very, very, very upset. And then he pulls off getting the number one quarterback in the 2026 high school class, depending on the site you look at, Jared Curtis, to commit to Georgia earlier this week. So, look, Mike Bobo has done a lot of good. There's been some bad Mike Bobo. I want to have an open and honest conversation. That's, a theme of recently. I just like to attack things from all the angles, and let's kind of get down to the bottom of it. And I'm going to share really my personal thoughts on the situation and how I think Georgia fans should feel about it. Obviously, it was a golf day for me, golf morning for me, hat hair. So we're gonna keep the lid on for this video. Hope you don't mind. Ryan Curley from Dawg Post talking about Mike Bobo, Georgia's offense. They just got Jared Curtis in high school recruiting. Looks like he's a legit quarterback. Obviously, you gotta do it when you get there. But that's one of the benefits. He does a really good job recruiting. He goes out and get a lot of guys. Now, I think you can't have this conversation without looking at what Georgia's offense was the last few years. And I'm throwing away what it was in 2021, but 2022, this is under Todd Monken, and this is arguably the greatest Georgia offense of all time. Georgia goes 15-0 in 2022, undefeated, back-to-back national champions, put up 65 against TCU, put up 50 a handful of times throughout the season, just crushed some teams. They put up 40.7 points per game. This is obviously under Todd Monken, 610 points. Now, when we think about the totals, remember they played 15 games. But 372 first downs, great fourth down efficiency, over 50% of third downs, 4,400 passing yards, 31 passing touchdowns, 3,000 rushing yards. It was an excellent, excellent offensive season. So some of that talent leaves, right, between 22 to 23 that made the 22 team great, like some offensive linemen, like Darnell Washington, A.D. Mitchell, Kenny McIntosh, right? So Stetson Bennett. Well, what happens in 2023? It's the next season. There's a lot of turnover. Georgia's just coming off of back-to-back national championships. Mike Bobo's in his first year as OC and his second stint as OC for the Georgia Bulldogs. What ends up happening? You get Carson Beck in there, right? Personnel changes a little bit, especially at a big position. Georgia doesn't win the national championship, but it is Bobo. 362 first downs. Better third down efficiency. Similar passing numbers. Very, very similar passing numbers. Not quite as good rushing numbers. And Georgia lost the SEC championship in 2023. That ended their season in terms of what they wanted to do, right? Because Georgia ends up going into the Orange Bowl and obliterating Florida State, but it wasn't a college football playoff game, so it's not the stakes that everybody wants. But when you look at the offensive numbers going from 22 to 23, a team that, look, they put up the same points per game, 40.7, 40.1, right? They did the same thing statistically, and Georgia's offense was very, very good. Brock Bowers matters, Labakaki matters, the running game mattered, and Carson Beck was very good. And Mike Bobo used those pieces well. And Georgia, look, they went 13 and 1? Is that the way that they ended their season? Right? They just didn't hold the trophy that they wanted to. Then you get to 2024, and that's when things kind of went crashing down with Mike. 32.6 points per game, total points not even 500, passing yards not as good, touchdown to turnover ratio not as good, rushing game just non-existent comparatively speaking. 1,700 rushing yards, not as many touchdowns, not as efficient. The offense was worse. And to me, I think part of that does go on Mike Bobo. I don't think you can sit here and say, as an offensive coordinator that he takes no responsibility, but Carson Beck also played worse. The receivers dropped a lot of passes. The offensive line just did not perform the way we thought. Georgia's running back room was quite injured and did not play near, you look at these numbers, near to the level that a Georgia Bulldogs running back unit should play. And so you look at all of that, and I look at these numbers and I'm like, man, it's shocking how bad things were. Carson Beck receives a lot of the blame, right? Carson Beck is one of the most hated people in college football. There's always a couple villains every season, and Carson Beck has become kind of a pseudo-celebrity outside of football. The Snapchat stuff, the girlfriend stuff, the car stuff, all of that, combined with the fact that, look, he was the quarterback for Georgia, and he played in big games, and he was good in some big games, and he was bad in some big games, and so he's kind of become this big figure, and there's a lot of drama with him. Well, he's out, right? And they're moving on from that. And Georgia's got new weapons. We'll talk about that in a minute. But when you look at the 2 seasons, Georgia was excellent on offense in 2023. It wasn't in 2024. To me, it's too soon for a fan to just be like, and there's the bubble screens, running up the middle, all that. It's part of football, and they're going to still do it. Now, are they going to be successful doing it? I don't know. But it's going to be done, and it's a part of the scheme. It's a pro-style offense, and they're going to mix that in. And I think part of why it felt like there was more of those kind of boring plays that start behind the line of scrimmage, they just couldn't get the ball downfield. It didn't work. They didn't hit explosive plays near to the amount that they did the previous few seasons. And I think the play caller, Mike Bobo, was trying to make up for that by saying, okay, this is an easy play. This is an easy couple yards, or this should be easy, right? By calling some of that. That's kind of my theory. So, my opinion, I think that we need to give him one more season to really harshly judge. Look, they gave the guy a contract extension through the 2026 season for a reason, right? That's not just this season, that's the season after that. Obviously, his relationship with Kirby matters. Relationships matter in all industries. I know that very well. And so, yes, is that part of why he's probably sticking around? A little bit. But they've had a great deal of success with him around. 2023 didn't end the way, but look, to me, it's subjective the way you look at the college football playoff rankings and all that. And there's a good portion of people who watch all the games, including myself and just people in this industry, who believe Georgia was one of the top 4 teams of 2023. So maybe that turns out differently. 2024 collapsed. The offense collapsed. I just don't think that you can pin that all on Mike Bobo. They had a very successful offense in 2012 when he was the offensive coordinator. 2013 was solid, right? So those teams aren't as talented as the teams they've had this year, in the last couple of years. Well, this year he gets his guy in Gunnar Stockton. They get new weapons, Zachariah Branch, Noah Thomas, new running back Josh McCray. You get a different offensive line with what should have a chip on his shoulder, along with a running back that's budding in Nate Frazier and a group that, if it's healthy, will be better. Tight end room that's experienced. And you just get to start over, and you get to move on from Carson Beck. You get to move on from all the drama and all the... Look, 2024 was a dramatic college football season in general, and Georgia was at the forefront of a lot of the dramatic moments in the sport this past season. A terrorist attack at the Sugar Bowl, Notre Dame. The Alabama game. The Georgia Tech game. The Ole Miss game. Rush the field. Take down the goalposts. At the forefront. And doing a lot of that on ABC at night. Right? In the primetime slot. And there's been a lot of attention. And I think that Georgia is... This is an opportunity to me for Georgia and for Mike Bobo to restart, reset, move on, and just try to make things better this season. And if you've stuck with me this long, hear me out. If it doesn't work this season when you've got a complete new offense and Georgia's offense doesn't improve, and that's when I think you start looking, okay, maybe we got to get another guy in here that's going to make this work, because we got a different quarterback, we got new receivers, went out and got you a new running back, and it's not working still. That's when I think you can judge it harshly, but I think it's a little too soon, and that's my take on it. What do you think about Mike Bobo? I know I know he triggers a lot of people. Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching.